All right, this is your man coming to you again, Sir Earl. The subject that I wanted to discuss today, it's a subject that, first off, what I wanted to say is I'd like more of you to, if you like this podcast, listen, subscribe, download, subscribe to it. What we're trying to create is a more positive movement. And this podcast is a part of that. I do a lot of stuff on social media, and I get great responses to it. Because I'm all about the positivity. Negativity, anybody can talk about that. But I try to keep myself in a positive mindset. It's just, things are just, you accomplish more in life that way as opposed to always looking at the negative. It's better to give thanks for what you do have than to bitch about what you don't have. So the subject today of what I want to discuss is the difficulties of being a black business owner. I should know I'm black and I'm a business owner. I've owned my own business probably the last 21 years. I've owned a personal training studio. The last 21 years is a profession, fitness industry I've been involved in for almost 30 years. But I opened up my own about 21 years ago. The thing about that is that the difficulties that you run into in being a black owner is first and foremost, most blacks have never known anyone that owned businesses. And if they did own a business, it probably failed. Which, a lot of the businesses go under within 5 years. And it's a very difficult thing. So you're trying to do something that the people around you, your family and friends, they have no sense of reference to what it's like to own a business. So the things that I found is that if your business is in trouble, okay, you started out with nothing or a little less than nothing, and this amplifies even more when you come from where I came from. Born and raised in Inglewood on the south side of Chicago, you'd be lucky to live beyond 18, let alone own a business or live in the suburbs. That's just unheard of. Most guys end up dead or in prison before they make anything of themselves. So that kind of separates you from the people that you know, because most people that you know are either dead or in prison. And if they're not, they're definitely not business owners, they're workers. A lot of the difficulty that you run into in business being black is that most most parents or the generation before us did I consider them dream killers. If you remember when you were young and you had all these great ideas about the things that you wanted to do in life. You growing up, you wanted to be an astronaut, you wanted to be a fireman or whatever. When you get to a certain age and you still have those dreams of doing something different, you are always told by your parents or that generation above you, go to school, get a safe job. No one's going to be interested in those things. So you go, you get a safe job, you find your spouse, you marry them, you have a couple kids, and you live life safely. Well, the thing about that is that there is no safe. I knew a guy that worked for a big corporation. I won't say the name, but he worked for that corporation for 28 years, and he worked his way up as a volunteer all the way to CEO. He up and moved his family to a different part of the Midwest. He became a CEO. He dedicated every fiber of his being to that job. And 28 years later, they walked through the door and fired him. And without any regard, You know, I know people that work jobs that were, 3 years, 2, 3 years away from retirement, and now they call it downsizing. It's still the same thing as being fired. And that employee who you gave your 20 plus years to could have let you ride it out, another few years so you could collect your retirement, but they're not going to do that. Business is about money. I won't say that owning a business is not difficult, because it is. As blacks, the first thing that we're recommended to do is what? Not hire your family. Where when you look at other ethnic groups, Mexicans, Arabs, Koreans, whatever, what's the first thing that they do? They hire their family. So, we don't hire our own. We don't, our own don't spend their money with us. White people don't want to patronize your business because they feel that it's going to be subpar because of the stereotypes that they have of blacks. So what winds up happening is it's extremely difficult to build and maintain it, because your owner not spending with you, and other ethnic groups believe that, he running a nigger business over there, so we don't want to support that. And it's extremely difficult. Like I said, I've been in this almost 3 decades, and I've seen it all over the place. Another thing that's done, it's what I call, and like I say, it may offend a few people, but I consider it a slave mentality. Where do we get all of our ideas and names, and everything was passed down from religion, passed down from generation to generation? We were brought here as slaves. So that mentality of slave mentality of not having, not wanting, not striving, not dreaming, not believing, it's been passed down to us. But I always say that, when you know better, you got to do better. But you talk to people. Like I said, I'm black, so I've been around blacks my whole life. They have that attitude of, the normal dealings of a business, things being slow, money being tight, working long hours, all those things that come along with a business. They take it as you doing something wrong. And the best thing to do, from their advice, is to shut it down and go get a job. Well, I think people don't understand that a business is a dream. It's your oxygen that fuels you, that wakes you up. It's your passion. So it's not like you have a job and you are the boss. This is something that you dream about. It wakes you up. It fuels your flame. And it's so cold and nonchalant. Oh, well, just quit, go get a job. I'm not against people having a job. I am against people being persuaded to not follow their heart and their dreams. I knew a guy that he went to college, and this guy loved art. I mean, he loved drawing and he loved art. Well, his parents told him, well, we're not paying for an education for you to go learn art. Get you something, study something in computers, and get you a job, and we'll pay for that. Well, that's what he did, and he hates the job that he has now, and it's in dealing with computers, which was what he was urged or told to do. We have so many people that could be, they could have the next cure for AIDS, they could have a cure for cancer, they could, be, all these things, but they're selling shoes at a shoe store or renting cars at Enterprise, because they were told, get something safe. So we are putting a stranglehold on our kids as far as thinking creatively and creating things that help change the world. And we're the one race that does it more than anything. because other races you're kind of challenged to go out and do your thing, and like you look at a lot of races, they've had businesses in their family, or friends or whatever had business, so they have a strong reference point. So when these things that are normally commonly associated with businesses come up, it's not foreign to them. It's oh, okay then. Well, go talk to your Uncle Joe. He owned the business, and he'll explain it to you of, how you work beyond the situation. So you have the difficulty of not knowing. Me personally, owning a business, um, I never made it beyond. Well, I graduated eighth grade, but I never made it through high school. I never went to college. And the thing about school, they teach you nothing about entrepreneurship and financial situations anyway. Um, and you have so many of our people, black people, that are uh, put their worth in an education and a title, and that's just not what it is. Most people that own companies have never been, have they didn't finish college. They just are smart enough to bring a valuable idea to market, and they hire so-called smart people, so-called PhD people. Um, but the idea of owning a business and creating wealth is all done. It's made in the mind, not in the school, not in talk, not in any of that. It's all a positive mindset, and unfortunately, um, we just don't have a lot of that in our race. They think positive. A lot of times they think, I make more than six figures a year, and well, when you deduct taxes and you deduct the car that you drive and you deduct your mortgage, you really ain't making a lot of money. You get 7 day vacation out of 365 days. And like I said, some people are meant to go to school. And the problem that I have is that, okay, if you're meant to go to school, don't push that on your kids. Maybe should go to a trade school. Maybe they should go to the service. Maybe they should own their own business. Maybe they should do something else. But what we tend to do as black parents is make them walk in the footsteps that we walked in. It's the one cookie cutter, one size fits all. Go to school, be safe, get a job. Well, what if that's not meant for that individual? Um, we have to learn to support and encourage our kids in the paths in which they choose to walk, and that's been the hardest thing for the. I never received. My father was never in my life, and I never received positive reinforcement or the help that I needed. I won't say I didn't get any help from my mom. I said the help that I needed. It's like, I'm hungry. Can I have some fish? Well, I'll make you this steak. They give you what they want to give you, not what you need. And then well, I helped you out as much as I could. No, you gave me what you wanted to give me. Um, Sometimes they're in a position they can't help you. They don't have access to money or credit or the things that it would take to help you. And that's the individual. Maybe they can't. And most times when they can, they won't. That's just the reality, and the truth behind it is because, I gave you a little bit, and that was 10 years ago, and I still haven't seen anything. Well, sometimes business takes time. They say it takes 20 years to become an overnight sensation. Uh, so, if you look and 21 years later, you're still in business, although you haven't started turning profits. Um, at least you're still in the game, and as long as you're in the game, you have a chance of winning. If you shut down and quit, you have no chance of winning. And financially, um, we would rather give our money to a stockbroker or put it in 401k or do something instead of learning about it and learn how it works and learn how to make it make money for you. We don't want to learn financial. And I think black people are the most financially illiterate people on the face of this earth. They don't know how money works, and they don't want to know how money works. I don't know why. I guess if it's not taught in school and they don't tell you need it, you don't do it. But you know, their financial IQ is extremely, extremely low. Probably because we never had none. It's a scarcity attitude. When you look at a lot of situations, priorities are screwed up. We would rather look rich and successful than be rich and successful. And you get a raise, you go out, you buy a new car. I was at a restaurant the other day, and it's just not a upscale restaurant. And this woman is in there wearing a wraparound chinchilla fur coat. Are you freaking kidding me? You probably don't have two nickels to rub together. There's always a saying, and if you see another ethnic group, white or Arab or whatever, that look like they make $1 million, they probably make $10 million. If you see a black person that look like he makes $1 million, big house, nice car, nice clothes, he's probably making $100,000 a year, and the rest of it is debt to finance and stuff. Because once again, we would rather look successful than be successful. I think all that comes from a mindset, not having anything. We have this instant gratification fix. It's the reason that as soon as we get, we got to spend. And you're spending it not with your own people, but with people who are of other groups that are profiting from our dollar. And we don't have any problem with that. We don't have any problem with buying a new car. Not a lot of black car dealership owners are black. We don't have a problem with wearing fur coats and diamonds and jewelry. A lot of I would venture to say that most of the places that you spend your money at, probably 100% of them are not owned by blacks. So you're not putting that money within your own race, which it's your money. Do with what you want to. But the mindset of instant gratification is the reason that it kills us. Most of the time you look at other groups, well, let's say white in particular, they have their kids' savings, college funds saved up before the child is even walking good. When blacks die, we leave memories and debt. We have to get together and put money together to pay for the funeral because we didn't even have insurance. And that's really, really, really a sad situation. And it just seems to be getting worse with this generation that we have coming behind us. Because, well, I guess is what they call the millennials. Because not only do they not want to work, not only do they not want to accumulate wealth, they don't want to work. And like I said, I'm not against working. I'm not the type of person that believes everybody should own a business. Some people are not meant to own a business. But by the same token, as parents or people that give advice, you have to understand the difference between someone that maybe should be in a trade school, maybe they should go to the service, maybe they should be in school. But all we know as people, as black people, is push school, go to school, get a degree. And you'll always find this. I'm not making enough money. I'm going to go back to school. So look at the math at this, and this is where I say the financial literacy comes in at. You're willing to go back to school and spend $200,000 in debt plus interest to make, $10,000 more on your job? Doesn't add up. But that's what they do, and it's because we are, as a race of people, just enamored by titles and degrees, and they'll tell you in a heartbeat, "Oh, I'm Doctor So and So." You're fucking unemployed. Okay, you have a PhD, but you don't even have a job, or your job is no paying no much better than a person that doesn't have a PhD. But you see them. Oh, they take pride in. Oh, I got a degree. I got my own house. Unless you got the deed to your house, you don't own your house. A bank owns your house. Okay, so I don't want to hear that crap. Unless that house is paid off and you have the deed in your possession, which most people don't or never will, it's not your house. It's the bank's house. And you don't believe me? Stop paying your mortgage and see how fast they put you out. So we need to, as a people, learn to encourage, learn to support, and learn to stick together. I don't think that will ever happen, but I didn't think we'd see a black president in our lifetime either, and we did. But the only way you get respect, as you see with Mexicans or the LGBT thing, they organize and they stick together. We walk around as blacks with an attitude for no reason. We have an entitlement issue. We think somebody owes us something. No one owes you anything. You've got to get out and you've got to make it happen for yourself. The one thing that I've realized in being in business, a lot of times, is there racism? Of course there's racism. We'd be lying ourselves if we thought it wasn't. But the one thing that I found, it's not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's a green thing. And if you have of the mentality of achieving enough wealth to become financially free, and for everybody that's different. It could be $100,000 a year, it could be $100 million a year. It's all in what you believe or what your life is set up to have to be financially free. And the reason I talk about being financially free is choices. I think we're the only race that encourages you to not be prosperous. Or you can get a camel can fit through the eye of a needle, and money is the root of all evil, and rich people are greedy, and we are pumped full of this shit when we're young. So of course you grow up with complications about money because you're taught that money is bad. Well, money's not bad. Money's great. It allows you to do a lot of things that you otherwise couldn't do. It kills me when I hear about the religious sector. Oh, well, yeah, well, we're not about money, we're about giving and all. Okay, if you are sending some of your people to Africa, who do you think pay for that? What do you think that comes from? That ain't free. When God wants us all to prosper, and when you have more, you can do more. There was a line that Jay-Z said once before. He said, I can't help the poor if I'm one of them. So I got rich, I gave back. That was the win-win. And it took me a long time and a lot of reading and a lot of study and a lot of inner thoughts and a lot of talking to different people to understand. And I'm just not getting to that point. I'm 54 years old. That you have to, your teaching as you were brought up is blocking your ability to attract abundance in your life in any form, especially financially, because on one hand you say, hey, I want to be financially free. I want to make money. On the other hand, you say, oh, well, money is evil, and the people that go after it, You can't love money, and it says, for the love of money is the root of all evil, not money. For the love. If you love money above anything else, you'll have problems. You'll run into problems. But having money and being able to afford the things in life, being able to afford to take care of your family, being able to afford to not have the stress of living from paycheck to paycheck and wondering when they're going to come cut your lights off because you couldn't pay your bill last month. That's not what God wanted for us, and that's not how life is supposed to be, where you spend your life stressing about simple things that should be gotten easily. But what we try to do is that we don't want to work. We don't want to say, so if you got a job, get a side business going. Get something that you can do on the side, stock trading or whatever, real estate, something to where you're not working for your job. And that gives you the love of it. Because people come to work and they hate their job, but they're so afraid they're going to get fired. And if you get fired, you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose your car, probably your family. So what I try to recommend to people is that have something of your own, have something on the side that you could do, whether it be flipping homes, renting homes. My daughter has a job; she just graduated, and this was I'm not against school. I'm not against working. My daughter graduated, and she does eyelashes on the side. That's her side business. So you don't just work slave over the money, because that's how they keep you in line, and you have no control. So learn to have control over your life. Learn to have things in your life that are yours, not your job, but they're yours. And and build your finances and spend your finances wisely. I see people all the time. I meet people all the time that you got the car, you got the house, your hair is done, and you are broke as hell. You're living on credit cards, accumulating debt at 19% every time you want to get something, but you think because you look that way, because you look successful, you are successful, and it's just not the same thing. So, as a race of people, we need to get our priorities together, and we need to start supporting our kids and their dreams. Quit making them do things that you think is okay for them. If I did what my mother wanted me to do, I'd still be a mechanic. And I hated that every day I worked at it, and I worked at it for over 10 years. That time 365. I hated it every day. I've never made as much money in my business as I did as a mechanic, but my worst day at my business was better than my happiest day as a mechanic. I love what I do every day. I make a difference in people's lives. I come to work. I have creative thinking. I've done a lot of things. I've been a lot of places. And there is nothing that could take the place of that. No amount of paycheck, no amount of going to a job that I hate, dealing with a boss kissing his ass so I don't get fired. So as I've said before, when we know better, we got to do better. It's just, we have to. It's that time. It's 2019. It's that time to do better in life. I am about to end this podcast, and I ask that if you know somebody that could benefit from the things that I talk about, we'll be having more guests, doing more interviews. If you know somebody that could benefit from the things that I talk about, recommend this podcast. We're trying to build a great following on a positive movement, and I think it can help a lot of people. We're going to discuss a lot of things: fitness, business, motivation, self-discipline, and I think in our time in life, no one's really talking about that. Everybody's talking about a lot of other garbage, reality TV, the Kardashians, who, by the way, the youngest one is a billionaire because she's smart. Um, so recommend them to this podcast. Tell them to subscribe. We're just going to have great content coming out all the time. Great interviews. I have an interview with the mayor of. I'm gonna ask him. He's a client of mine. The mayor of Hazel Crest. Very, very smart guy. So it's just going to be a great podcast, and I just want as many people to hear the message and join the movement as possible. So with that, I'm signing off. This is your boy, Sir Earl, and I will talk to you next time.